Today we're going to be talking about muzzle training. I have a lovely assistant here. This is Mr. Rufio. We're looking to do some muzzle training today for his specific case where he's a little dog reactive, and just to keep everyone safe when we work in closer proximity with other dogs that he doesn't know. We're looking to keep everyone safe. The best way to train your dog to have a muzzle on is, of course, through positive reinforcement, making sure they have a good emotional opinion about the product and that great things happen when you wear this muzzle. Now, there's lots of different parts to muzzle training. We're going to be covering the simple basics today, and then we'll get more in depth a little bit later. And I'm going to hide it behind my back. And the moment I bring it out, I'm going to click and pay him with a treat. Boy. I'm going to hide it behind my back again. Bring it out. As soon as he looks at it, he's going to get a click and a treat. Behind my back again. Bring it out. Good. Now, did you see what he did there, which was different to the last two repetitions? He actually stretched his head out forward. So he's showing me that he's already building that drive to seek out what's in my hand. I'm going to do that again. Good boy. That time he's getting a little bit closer, which is fantastic. I'm going to hide it again. Bring it out. Good. And you can tell this dog has been clicker trained. He has an immediate emotional response to that clicker noise. He knows a goodie is coming his way. Hide it again, bring it back out, perfect, good. And now the cool angle that you can see from the camera here is he's actually getting a couple inches deep into the muzzle, which is exactly what I want. I want him to learn how to target his own face into this muzzle. Good boy. So I went quite deep in there, that's perfect. I'm going to do this a couple more times, and I'm going to switch up the training technique just a little bit, just for the speed of learning. Good boy. A little slow on that treat delivery there. Good boy. So I'm going to bring this muzzle back out. He's going to offer his head through it. And this time I am going to start paying him directly into the muzzle. So he's offered it himself. He seems pretty comfortable putting his own head in there. So now the treats are only going to come, of course, through the muzzle. And so it's a little bit of luring, a little bit of shaping, but I'm never forcing it on him. He's always seeking it out himself, which is perfect. I'm going to make sure that I add the cue appropriately to this behavior. So if your dog is reliably seeking out the muzzle, you're going to go ahead and add the cue. So every time I bring this muzzle out, he's putting it on himself. So he is ready for that verbal cue. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and introduce it to him. You should always think verbal cue, pause, and then the object, okay? If you introduce the verbal cue and the object at the same time, the object can overshadow the verbal cue. Okay? And so I really want it to have that mental pause and then the object. So I'm going to say, muzzle. Yes, good boy. And now, to build that duration, he's only going to be fed through the muzzle. Okay, here we go again. Muzzle. Yes, good boy. And then straight on through to the muzzle. Good job. So now that he's gone to the point where it's basically on cue and he likes being in there, I'm going to make sure he really, really loves it. So I'm just going to spend some time with him getting his head right in there and getting 10, 15 seconds of payment. Muzzle. Good boy. I really want him to seek out the muzzle as the reinforcement for the treats. He knows where the treats are coming from. Good. Muzzle. Yes, good man. Good job. He's like, how do I get the cookies? Muzzle. Yes, good man. Did you see how that time when I said yes, he hesitated to pull his mouth out? That's a really important step. So he knows that the treats are only coming through the muzzle now, so he's offering to stay right in there for much longer, even when he's not being fed the treats, which is absolutely fantastic. That's now how I know I'm doing my job right. Good man. Good. Yeah, good choice. So you might be asking yourself, okay, well that's great, he's targeting it through, when do I get to play with those straps? My answer for that is when you can have his face in here for more than a minute. So when he is so infatuated with keeping his nose in here, then you can start playing with the straps coming around his face. You could also do a separate process, and this is only if your dog is comfortable, of course, wearing collars and having his neck touched. You could have him simply carry it around as if it was a buckle collar minus this lovely basket. So I could ask him to have it around his neck, and of course he's seeking it out because he loves it so much. But I could get him used to carrying it around on his neck and paying him really well for having that strap. Because this strap is going to sit higher than your traditional collar, and if he's never had, say, dog goggles on before, like rec specs, or a head collar, that high fabric piece could be adversive to him. So you could do something like this, where he has it around his neck, and you could start playing with it. So every time I reach and play with it, he gets a treat, so he doesn't mind having that buckle done. Now, because he hasn't been in formal training for a long period of time, I'm going to go ahead and end on a really good note that he sought out this piece of material and he wants to continue training. And I'm going to say, that's great that you want to continue, but I know your limitations. But I'm actually going to go ahead and switch to a play session after this, just to reinforce that behavior. And I always encourage you to do that regardless of what you're teaching, because there are scientific studies that show that play after a training session helps them retain that training much better than if you were to have them go take a nap. So we're going to go ahead and shut off this session for today. Thanks for watching, you guys, and have a great day.